Hi, I'm Dmitry Likhachov, a data scientist, fraud detective, and the creator of Sherlock here at Revolut. And today I'm gonna tell you how you can save your money from being stolen by those sneaky fraudsters. You might know just recently, hackers stole card details of thousands of British Airways customers. The hackers then used those card details to make purchases on other websites. And before that, Ticketmaster database got hacked. But those are just two recent cases that got to the press. Globally, fraudsters steal millions per day, billions per month, and a large chunk of this money is spent on drug trafficking and terrorism financing. This is why you and me are responsible for protecting our money and resisting the fraudsters. If you are listening to this, you are the resistance. Let me tell you a story. It is July 2015. I've just finished a 4-day kitesurfing course in the south of England. The shining sun, the sound of waves, the laughter on the beach. I'm keen to continue doing kite surfing. I come to a local kitesurfing shop to purchase my first wetsuit. I hand in my credit card to a guy at the till. I'm way too excited about my purchase to pay much attention to the fact that instead of inserting my card to the payment device and asking me to enter my PIN, the guy starts to enter my credit card details on his website. That's how I paid for my purchase. I get my wetsuit, I come home. The following day, I get a phone call from my bank. A lady on the phone asks me to confirm my recent purchases. Amazon purchase for £239. No, I didn't purchase anything at Amazon recently. Netflix for £12. No, I don't even watch Netflix. Alright, thank you, Mr. Likhachov. I've terminated your card and soon you will receive a new one. And she hangs up. That's it. Do you know that feeling when something that belongs to you gets taken away from you? Why me? What did I do to you? That's how I felt. I get in touch with Amazon and with Netflix. They confirm that someone used my credit card, but they cannot give me the person's name. It's getting late. I jump into my car. I drive to the local police office. I want to help the police to catch the fraudster because I think I know who he is. That guy at the kitesurfing shop. But the policeman says he cannot help me. Instead, he hands me a leaflet with the website address where I can go and report my fraud. Unfortunately, due to a large volume of fraud, the police don't have capacity to investigate it. That's probably why, 2 years later, in 2017, when Nick Staronsky, our CEO, asked me if I would like to help Revolut prevent fraud, I immediately said yes. I wanted a revenge. I wanted to show fraudsters that we can protect ourselves. 9 months after joining Revolut, I created a system, an intelligence system that I called Sherlock. What is Sherlock? Well, Sherlock is a machine learning based fraud detective. It continuously monitors your transactions, and when it detects a suspicious one, it blocks the transaction, it freezes your card and sends you a push notification. Like any artificial intelligence system, Sherlock continuously learns to identify fraudulent patterns in our transactional data. Unfortunately, fraudsters will always be one step ahead. They will always come up with a new technology, a new virus, or they will use clever psychological manipulation techniques to convince people to transfer money to them. I believe, however, that machine intelligence combined with human intellect can achieve great heights. And that's why, while Sherlock is watching your back, let me give you some tips. The same tips that I give to my friends and family, and that will help you keep your money safe. I put these tips into a framework that I call the 3-act payment strategy. The word ACT, or ACT, stands for stay alert, be in control, and remain thoughtful. Let's look at the first one, staying alert. What I mean by staying alert? Well, you have to be aware of all events and all transactions that happen with your bank account. And the easiest way to do this is to enable push notifications about all card transactions. At Revolut, we have such push notifications enabled by default. If for some reason you don't receive these push notifications, please check your phone settings. I know that sometimes these push notifications can be annoying. especially when you are in a bar purchasing drinks for your mates. Well, please consider such push notifications as gentle pats on the back from one of your mates. However, if you see a push notification about a transaction that you don't recognize, immediately freeze your card and contact support. The second item that I would like to talk about in this staying alert section is the payment method that's called magstripe. What is magstripe? Well, it is that black stripe on the back of your card. Unfortunately, this payment method is widely used in some parts of the world, like Asia. However, it is the most unsecure method of all. It is very easy to copy information that is stored on this magnetic stripe and then make a copy of your card. Just let me give you this example. You go to India and you take a taxi. When the time comes to pay for your ride, you hand in your card to the taxi driver. The taxi driver swipes your card against his payment terminal and tells you, the payment got declined. You are embarrassed, you hand in cash to him. A couple of days later, you find your bank account significantly drained. What happened? The driver actually made a copy of the information stored on your card, and then he went on to make a copy of your card, and then he comes to an ATM and withdraws cash from that copy of your card. Now, how to protect yourself from these fraud cases? Well, the easiest way is to always request a receipt whenever the payment doesn't go through. The merchant has to give you an electronic receipt where it is clearly stated that the payment got declined. Let me tell you another story. Two friends come into a restaurant, and after having their lunch, the waiter comes and brings in the payment terminal. One of the friends inserts his card into the payment terminal, enters his PIN, but the waiter says something like, the payment didn't go through. You're not the first ones today. It must be a problem with your bank. A couple of weeks later, one of the friends finds that someone takes out cash from his card. What's happened, in fact, is that the payment terminal that the waiter brought wasn't actually a payment terminal, but was a copying machine. The waiter copied the information of the person's card, including his PIN, and then produced a copy of that card and withdrew cash from an ATM. Always request a copy. Always request a receipt whenever the first payment doesn't go through. It should be clearly stated on the receipt that the payment got declined. If, however, the merchant refuses you to give you such receipt, don't hesitate to call an administrator or even the police. Now that we've learned about staying alert, let's move to being in control. What I mean by being in control? Well, you are in control of the payment methods that you allow to be performed with your card. If you go to our Revolut app, in the card security settings, you will notice 5 toggles. The 4 of those toggles let you control what payment methods you authorize. The first one, swipe method, is the same as magnetic stripe. I highly recommend you turn this toggle off and use magnetic stripe only if you plan to travel to countries in Asia. The second one is contactless payments. Use it only if you plan to use your card either with TFL or in shops. The third one is ATM withdrawals. If you don't take out cash, please disable this toggle. Finally, the last one, online payments. If you don't use your physical card for online payments, I highly recommend you turn that toggle off. Finally, the 5th toggle that you see on the screen allows you to enable location-based security. What is location-based security? Well, you see, when you make a purchase in an offline store, like in Tesco or in Sainsbury's, Revolut checks that the location of your phone matches the location of the merchant. And if these two locations are far away from each other, Revolut declines the transaction. It is very useful in such cases when you lose your card and when someone tries to go and buy something in Tesco. Believe me, we've seen a lot of such cases. The fraudster will not be able to use your card via a contactless payment method, for example, because the location of your phone is too far away from that merchant address. Now, you might ask me, how will I pay for my online payments if I disable online payment method for my physical card? That's a great question, and for online payments, I highly recommend you use virtual cards. What are virtual cards? Well, these are the cards that, virtual card is a card with card details stored only in your Revolut app. It is virtually impossible to lose this card because there is no physical copy of this card. For example, you can create a virtual card for your Uber, another virtual card for Amazon purchases. In addition to virtual cards, Revolut also offers disposable virtual cards. I highly recommend you use disposable virtual cards for websites that you don't feel actually secure about. Disposable virtual cards regenerate the card details after every purchase. And this is why it is literally impossible to use those card details the second time after you made the first purchase. For offline payments, I highly recommend you use Apple Pay or Google Pay. Compared with contactless payments, there is no minimum nor maximum limit on payments done through Apple Pay or Google Pay. You can literally just go and buy even a car through Apple Pay. And what's great about these payment methods is that the merchant doesn't receive the actual card details of the card that is linked in your phone. Apple and Google issue a one-time token to the merchant. That's why it's just impossible to use those card details the second time. Now that we've learned about being in control of your payment methods, let's move to the third one, about remaining thoughtful. Now, what I mean by remaining thoughtful, let me give you some examples. Never tell your card details over the phone. It is just impossible to imagine what problems the person on the other end of the line might experience. In addition, never leave your card details on paper forms. I literally find it incredible that there are millions of card details just flying around the world in envelopes. Finally, whenever you enter your card details on a website, always make sure that there is a green security lock, meaning that your card details will be transmitted to the merchant securely. The second example that I want to give to you is the following. We've seen a lot of cases of fraud when fraudsters, using some clever psychological manipulation, convince people to transfer the money to them. They offer them either a high return on investment, or they offer them to purchase tickets to a sold-out event. Well, use good judgment to decide whether you want to transfer money to that company or to that person. Finally, another case that we actually saw just last week. A person goes on vacation and there he meets some people and goes out with them. After a couple of drinks, he doesn't remember anything, but the following morning, the person finds his bank account empty. Always make sure that you trust the people who you go out with, and it's always great to have a person you know with you. Now that you've learned about the 3-act payment strategy, I would like to ask you to go and talk to your friends and family about it. Share your knowledge and help them protect their money. The more people know about it, the more secure we are and the less benefit the fraudsters will get. In order to test your knowledge, I've also created a short quiz. You can find it by following the link below. As always, I wish you all the best and please take care.